Hi guys, Kim here, welcome to Backyard Blooms. In today's video, we are going to talk about the plants behind me. And this is my hydrangea garden, and I have Little Lime Pinnacle Hydrangeas. It is good in zones 3 to 9. So you guys, that is quite a large area of the United States that you can actually plant this plant. Zones 3 to 9. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, zone 8. And these are absolutely gorgeous. They're just now budding out and starting to bloom here the first part of July. These limelight hydrangeas do great in full sun or even part sun. So as you can see, I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, zone 8. It is hot and humid here. And for me, the pinnacle hydrangeas are the best ones that do well for me in full sun. And they have like a football sized shaped flower. They're absolutely gorgeous. They're quite large. Look how elegant and gorgeous this bloom is. Isn't it just gorgeous? It's a big, bright pop of color in your garden. So if you're wondering what a gorgeous hedge of these little lime hydrangeas look like, here you go. So this is just half of the garden. This garden right here is about 70 feet long, and I have 6 or 7 of the hydrangeas on each side. So look how beautiful they are. It's divided by Miss Grace and this little gem magnolia right here. And then behind that are the Emerald Green Arborvitaes. And we planted these for privacy as a hedge as well. So actually there are 3 reasons that you need to grow these little lime hydrangeas. Number 1, they are time and tested classic shrub. They bloom every single year, even in the cold climates. They bloom on new growth, not on old growth, so you don't have to worry about what time they are to prune or not to prune them. You're going to get blooms every single year. Number 2, the second reason that you need to grow these little lime hydrangeas, they have large, unique flowers, and they usually will age out in the fall to like a real light pink to burgundy color. And the third reason I've already kind of stated is that they do bloom every single year, even in cold climate. They get 3 to 5 inches tall and 3 to 5 inches wide. That is the little lime. Now the limelight hydrangeas that are just a little bit bigger than the little lime get 5 to 6 feet tall. So don't you just think that this is a very showy, flowery hedge? Isn't it beautiful? Don't you want one? This hedge has been in this garden for 5 to 6 years, and I'll show pictures of the very first year that we planted them. They were just teeny tiny babies. It does take a little bit of time for the stems to get real sturdy and not real droopy because these blooms are so massive that they like to droop. So we just currently got like a good size rain. It does take just a little bit of time for the stems to get sturdy, so be patient for them to look like this. We just got a heavy rain last night, so that's why they're drooping just a little bit, but they're not actually hitting the ground. You could put up plant supports. I had to do that for the first 3 to 4 years before they got really sturdy. And then you can see some of the stems are really sturdy. The new improved version called Prime, they do even better, more of sturdy stems as well. But like I said, be patient and give them some time to get the sturdy stems. Okay, just have to stop and show you how gorgeous this butterfly is on my butterfly bush. Actually, this tree is not doing great because it has gotten a lot of moisture down here at the bottom during the springtime, but it's trying to hang on. So I want to come on the other side of this garden and show you these Emerald Green Arborvitaes. These Emerald Green Arborvitaes make a great privacy hedge, and that's the reason why I planted them. They get 10 to 15 feet tall and 3 to 4 feet wide. They do great in zones, I believe, 3 to 8 as well. I I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, Zone 8, and they're doing quite well for me. Once they get established, they do really, really good. But there's 5 things that every homeowner needs to know about these Emerald Green Arborvitaes. Number 1, make sure they are irrigated, but not in wet soil. So believe me, you guys, we made the mistake at first. When we first planted these, we dug up the soil, took out all our original clay soil, and put in all potting soil. That was a big, big mistake. Do not make the mistake that we did. Keep your original soil about 80%. Yes, you can amend the soil, but these do really, really well being about 1 inch to 1.5 inches above the ground. So that is number 1, to make sure they are irrigated, but they do not sit in wet soil. Number 2 is that you do want to treat them for common pests. They are known to get bagworms, spider mites, scale, and leaf miner. So you want to be aware and make sure that you're treating for these things every single year. Look at this. Isn't that a great sign, you guys? Don't you love that? Beautiful. And there's a dragonfly up here on this one. Do you see it? Number 3 is to make sure you shear them on a regular basis. And I'm not really sure how I feel about this, because does that mean, like, once you get the size that you want them, like if I want them 8 feet tall, do I cut the tops off and make them as a hedge? I'm not really sure that I would like that look. But right now, like I said, they've only been in my garden for 5 to 6 years, and they are not at their maximum height yet. And then I got some that are different, varying heights, as you can see. I got one that's that tall, and then some that are this tall. Number 4 that every homeowner needs to know is to make sure that you plant them at the appropriate distance. You want to plant the Emerald Green Arborvitaes about 3 feet apart minimum, and then the Green Giants about 5 feet apart. At a glance, these Emerald Green Arborvitaes have low maintenance. They are good for accents. They make a great hedge or a foundation planting. They stay green all year around. They're resistant to extreme temperatures. They are a good size for small yard or a narrow space. They are hardy in zones 2 to 8. They can take full sun and they can take some partial shade. They have a lifespan of 25 years. And the best time to plant these Emerald Green Arborvitaes are in the fall. And this is what they look like on the other side of the hedge. They stay green all year round. They're really dense. So if they do start to brown, I feel like the most common thing are the spider mites. I like to use Captain Jack on my Emerald Green Arborvitaes. I just put them in a big sprayer and spray them. And just recently, I just put down some ladybugs to help prevent the spider mites. So this standard limelight tree right here has been beautiful for us for several years, but however, this past spring we got so much rain, and then we went from one extreme to another. We went from so much rain to like no rain. But anyways, this tree's not doing very well. We've had a really hard time getting this tree to be rooted in. That's why you see the stakes there, and just half of the tree is dead. So this one's gonna have to come out. I would like to replace that with something with a lot of bright red color, such as a Japanese maple, but I'll have to try to find one that does well in sun, because I know most Japanese maples like to be part shade, and it's getting full sun right here. And then this little buddleia bush right here, the same thing, half of that was dead and I had to cut it off, but we'll see if it continues to do okay here in the garden. And And then coming around, we do have some sedum right here that's doing really, really pretty. For some reason, part of it bloomed out really early and then the rest didn't. But you could see there's some of the blooms right there. And there's some of the spent blooms. And here's some of the blooms that have not came out at all. But it loves the space right here. And we do have to work on the drainage from this area straight out. You would think, and it looks like that it would drain well, but for some reason it just holds on a lot of water right here. And then I have some super petunias. This is Bordeaux from Proven Winners. I do love this petunia right here. Isn't it beautiful? So, so pretty. So it's been a couple of weeks since I videoed me talking about these plants, the Emerald Green Arborvitae and the Little Limelight Hydrangeas. I hope you appreciate the added information about these two plants. I do love them together and they make a great privacy hedge. So like I said, I had 70 feet of nothing but Emerald Green Arborvitae and the Little Limelight Hydrangeas mixed in with this little gem magnolia. But I wanted to give it just a little bit of extra separation, and I think it does that. It just separates the garden in half and half perfectly. So with that saying, I do appreciate everybody liking, sharing, and subscribing to my videos. It does it's a tremendous help for me on my logarithm of YouTube. And let me just turn the camera around and just kind of show you, we did get extra rain, so the blooms are just so big and massive, which is gorgeous, right? But they're drooping a little bit more. And I was gonna come back and prune them, but I decided not to, because that's the most exciting thing in my garden in July. It's so hot and so humid here. And right now my Little Lime Hydrangeas are my big pop of color here in the backyard. That and the crepe myrtles are gorgeous as well. So yeah, I appreciate you guys. I love you all. Make sure you keep watching my videos. I think my next video is going to be a July garden tour, and I've done a lot of work in the garden, and I'm excited to share a little bit of that, what I've done in the garden as well. So let me turn the camera around and just kind of show you the effects of the last 2 weeks over this side of the garden. So like I said, they're a little bit droopy, and you can tell that the wind just really beat them down. So not so much the rain, I don't believe, but you can tell so much more of the rain. And at least I'm glad that it brought them away from Emerald Green Arborvitae instead of pushing them towards that way. But you could see the branches are just kind of flopped over from the heaviness of this. So it hasn't rained in the last couple of days, but you can still see there's still some moisture in these blooms right now. The only thing I'm more concerned about is when they're on my sod. If the sod doesn't get good sun, then it starts to turn brown. So that's my only concern. If anything, I could come and prune some of these down here that are near the grass, or I could put some type of plant support up as well, which for the first couple of years I did have plant support up, and then they did really well. So honestly, I don't think last year I had this problem, but of course this year I do. So the only thing I really need to do for maintenance in this garden is that I could come back and give it some plant tone or rose tone. And the Emerald Green Arborvitae would like either one. They'd probably like the plant tone more, and then the hydrangeas would probably like the rose tone. And then just pruning anything up. I've came and pruned some things up not too long ago. I really do love the sedum in here. These two colors look really good together. And plus you got a little bit of variegation here, and it kind of separates the green from this, but they complement each other really, really well too. So I do like that sedum. It might be autumn joy sedum, I believe. The bumblebees are really loving the flower right now. I usually don't see too many bumblebees on these blooms, and they're starting to change just a little bit in color here. Now I'm gonna say this is not, you can kind of feel it. It doesn't feel papery like yet, but maybe in another week or two, this would be a good time to remove these blooms and dry them. I actually love to put these into my Christmas tree once they're dried. They make a beautiful, especially if you have more more like a nature-like tree. It was just gorgeous. These planters right here are doing really pretty. I had to cut everything back and then give it some, I think I gave it the Proven Winners continuous release, but look how vibrant this is. And isn't it really pretty, this verbena? So these containers are doing really pretty, but they struggled for a while. And then as I come over here, you could tell the difference between this tree just in 2 weeks, how much it's like died back. So honestly, I've had like, for the last 4 years, I've had problem with this tree, and I just don't think it ever really rooted in well. And we have a fair amount of water that kind of hangs out right here. The sedum loves it, but this butterfly bush right here was also struggling just a little bit. And then, so this is going to be removed, obviously. And then, this has seen better days too. I just noticed this. It was looking better, I think, last time. So I think we just had so much water, so much rain, and now the rain's kind of stopped, obviously, and it's like struggling a little bit. And then, of course, these daisies, we pruned them back. Actually, Dawn did that for me. Thank you, Dawn. And then a lot of the bottom tier, like some of the lemon coral sedum and my hardy geranium, you can still see that some, but since everything's kind of flopping over, I'm not sure some of that's going to make it. I had lamium in there, which I thought was going to do really good, but I'm not sure if the lamium's going to make it either. I can't even honestly see the lamium in there right now. But the hardy hydrangeas are still doing really good. That's a really good plant right here. I highly suggest. This one's called Roxanne. If you've never had any kind of hardy geranium in your garden, I think that's a great plant. And it does mix really well. Like you can see how it's kind of mingled up in here with these hydrangeas right there. But I don't know if they're kind of, could cut some of this back, I guess, right here. But that is this garden that we're looking at right now. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, I really do like these Emerald Green Arborvitaes and the Limelight Hydrangeas together. And if I actually had just a little bit more room, I would have, personally, I would put the Emerald Green Arborvitaes and then the Little LimeHydranges, and then I would put Buddleia butterfly bushes up around here. And I think those three would be a gorgeous pairing. But of course, I just do not have the room right now. Unless I extended the garden, I could do that too. But I feel like on the scale of what I'm looking like in my back garden, I feel like the scale is pretty good. So I probably won't change anything. But this is what it's all looking like here at the end of July. So I hope this video was helpful, and like I said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. It really does help me out tremendously. And I'll see you in my next July garden tour. Bye, friends.